Hello and welcome to another Sims 4 speed build. This speed build is the second in my One Direction series, and this one is my Louis Tomlinson-inspired house. This is the biggest house that I'm planning on doing for the One Direction series. I wanted to give Louis a really big and elaborate home because he's kind of the member of One Direction who tends to spend his money in the most interesting ways. And by that I mean that he kind of buys things that most financial advisors would recommend that you not buy. He finds all kinds of weird gadgets and costumes and toys, and he's 23 years old and he is spending his money like a rich 23-year-old. So I wanted to just kind of go all out with his house. I was hoping to do something that was very British in style because Louis, out of all of the members of One Direction, he seems to be the most proud of being British, I guess you would say. Not that the others aren't proud of being British, aside from Niall, of course, who is Irish. But Louis is just, his accent remains pretty thick. He's a huge fan of the English football team. He's the type of person in the band who I don't see him ever abandoning his British roots or, moving to the United States the way Harry Styles has. If he, does anything, he might get a house for when they are working there, but I can't see him ever leaving England. And so I really wanted to go very British with this build, and so I was looking online for like British architectural styles, I have like a Chrome plugin that changes my IP address so that my computer thinks that I'm in England, and I use it to watch certain TV shows. But I was looking up British architectural styles, and unfortunately, I think like the really big British homes, they just tended to be very square and bland, in my opinion, and I just couldn't find something I liked. So I then found a picture of this home, and this is more of like a French country style house. I really don't think you'd find this style of home in England, but I thought it fit really well for this build, and I think Louis might be part French. I know he's part Belgian. I'm not sure about the French thing, but Louis is a French name. So, I just figured it would be a good fit for him, and I liked the way the house looked. I did build the house all in one day. I am still sick. I'm definitely better than I was last week, but I went to the doctor Monday and found out I have bronchitis and a sinus infection. I've been on antibiotics for like 4 days now, and I'm definitely doing better, but over the weekend, last weekend, I was just sick in bed all weekend. And so it was it was kind of good because I got to build this house, but it was pretty boring to not be able to get out of bed. But anyway, yeah, I did build it all in one day, but I took like 3 different days to decorate it, because the problem I ran into with this house is that, one, it's massive, so there's a lot of decorating to do, and two, I was kind of bored with the content in the game. I felt like I had used it already, and I didn't have a budget for this house, and so it kind of takes the challenge out of building when you don't have a budget, you don't have a lot of items to use, and you feel like you're using the same items over and over again, and it just gets very monotonous. So I'm thinking for the rest of the homes in this challenge, I am going to devise some sort of budget. It's obviously going to be very high, but I'm hoping that that will get me a little bit more interested in finishing furnishing, and instead of taking forever to do it. It also took me forever to make this video because while I was recording the commentary, I'm not really even sure what happened, but like it just, I don't know, it wasn't like I would record it and it would say that it lasted the amount of time that I had spent recording it, and then I would import it into iMovie where I do my editing, and it would be like 10 minutes shorter, and it would drop like every other word. Like it wasn't like it dropped a section so I could just record like that one section. It would like stop in the middle of a sentence and then like 50 seconds later come back in. And so I've recorded this commentary like multiple times. I got really frustrated yesterday because I was planning to put the video up yesterday, but the recording wasn't going correctly, and I got really pissed off and didn't want anything to do with it. And I kind of gave myself a bit of a pep talk last night and was just like, you know what, no, you're going to push through this, you're going to finish this house, you're going to do it, and you're going to finish this series. Because I have a bad habit of starting things and not finishing them, and it's something that I'm trying to improve on and trying to be better about. So yeah, I'm back today recording this commentary. Hopefully it records properly and I can get this up on YouTube. But anyway, back to the house. I'm extremely proud of the exterior on this home, especially the front and the way the front came out. I think it's the best build I've done so far in The Sims 4, and I was like so happy with the interior the exterior that I actually took like a bunch of screenshots while I was building, which is something I never do. But another thing I did different in this was I built this hedge maze, because I feel like in wealthy British homes, like one of the hallmarks of them is like a very elaborate garden. And so I wanted to make that for Louis, and I thought he would think it was fun to have a hedge maze in his house. So there's one of those in the backyard, and then there's like this huge driveway, it's circular, and where that arch is, where you see the brick, that in the picture is actually part of the driveway, and the small room to the right of that is a garage, and the room in the back with all the windows is also a garage. But I was originally thinking of going that route with this house and just taking one of those toy cars and sizing it up to create a garage, but I really don't like doing things in builds that don't actually translate into gameplay. So like with the cars, you can't actually use the cars. It's not like a real thing. And I just don't, I don't know why, I don't like doing that. So I decided to make that small room on the right like a writing studio, because Louis, One Direction, obviously they don't write their own songs completely. There are very few musical artists who do, and they have taken more of an active role recently in writing, especially for their last two albums, and the two main writers in One Direction are Louis and Liam, and they tend to write together. And so I thought it would be fun to kind of give them almost like a little man cave where they can do their writing. The funny thing about that room is that it turns out that I didn't even actually like give them that much stuff in there, like where they can write. Like they have a coffee table and they have like instruments, but that's about it. But it turned out into a fun room, so we'll talk more about that when we get to the furnishing of it. But yeah, I have like this nice little area with the landscaping, and then there's a fountain that you can see from the dining room, and a fountain in the front, and flowers, and it's one of the rare builds where I liked the landscaping that I did too. I think I kept the landscaping relatively simple, and I think that was something that kind of worked for me, and it helped me not be as intimidated by landscaping as I normally am. I used very similar flowers over and over again, and just kind of created areas to put them and then just filled them. And I think it was definitely one of my better landscaping efforts. I also discovered during this build that you can't use diagonal stairs in this game. And I don't know if that's something that we had in The Sims 3. Now that I think more about it, I don't really remember diagonal stairs in that game either. But yeah, that was an interesting thing that I discovered. So I hope that at some point they work into the building tools that you can have diagonal stairs. I more so hope that they bring L-shaped stairs into this game. I think that's something that people always want in the games, and the Sims franchise like never really introduces, and you have to get mods for it, or you have to pay. In The Sims 3, they did have like a type of L-shaped stair, but you had to buy like the entire set to get them, which I wasn't gonna do. So I do hope that they bring that into the game. That's on my list. The other thing with this house is it was a little bit frustrating for me because obviously, like, I'm building it with Louis in mind, so it's not going to be a family home because he's 23. He has a girlfriend, but he, doesn't have any kids that we know of, and it's not, for the purposes of this speed build, it's not a family home. But it's so big that if anybody were to actually like download it or really play it, like, I think you would want to have a family in this home. And my biggest frustration with The Sims 4 is the lack of family play in the game. And it's something that I knew was coming, and I almost didn't get the game because of it. The only reason I did get the game is because The Sims 3 was basically unplayable on my Mac. But I was furnishing this house, and I was just like, this house would be so much better if they had more family objects and content and family type play. And it was something that I was kind of sad about while I was building this home, because there were many places where I could imagine like how nice it would be to have, a toddler playroom, or like rooms where like you'd have like siblings fighting over them, or I don't know. It's just little details in family play that I really miss. I am somewhat active on the family play forums, on the Sims.com forums, and there's a lot of people who do want family play in this game, so I'm hoping that they bring it back, but I'm skeptical about it. But anyway, back to the build. I keep getting like sidetracked, I guess you would say, in this commentary. But yeah, the layout of this home was a lot easier to do than I originally thought it would be. It's very big, as I've mentioned multiple times, and originally I was going to make it 5 bedrooms so that every member of One Direction would have their own bedroom in this house. But then I decided that might be a little bit boring, just like in terms of furnishing it. So downstairs, where there are like 2 possible bedrooms, one is the master bedroom, and one turns into like a gym. And then upstairs there are 3 bedrooms, and all of them have ensuite baths. But one of them is like a guest room where like their guests actually stay. And the thing with this house is that I imagine that Louis lives here with his girlfriend Eleanor. And I don't know if they live together in real life. They might. I'm not sure, but like for the purposes of this house, I was imagining that they live together and that they split up the decorating between the 2 of them. And there are rooms that Louis decorated that drive Eleanor crazy. And so upstairs, there's a guest room that they actually use. And then there's another guest room that Louis has used as a dumping ground for all of his random stuff. There's like boxes in there, there's lockers in there, and it's like a mess, and Eleanor hates it. And so you'll see that a couple times in this house, where there are rooms that aren't necessarily like designed well in terms of like, oh my god, this is like a beautiful room and like I'd love to have this. It's more of like a 23-year-old boy decorated this room, and I did that to kind of give the house some personality, and I do like the way it came out. You guys might not. Let me know in the comments below what you think of it, but it was like kind of another fun thing to do to keep me interested in decorating this home. This outdoors, I imagine that Eleanor decorated, with the exception of in the back corner, there's a pirate ship for kids, and then there's a rocket. And I used both of those items because I thought they were kind of like crazy things that I would never include in a house where my Sims normally live. But they're like objects that a 23-year-old who has more money than he knows what to do with would get for himself. Like, what 23-year-old boy would not want to have like a life-size pirate ship in his backyard or a rocket? So it was fun to include items like that, where I just think like they're ridiculous things that Louis would have gotten for himself. I'm about to furnish the kitchen here. I used a lot of red in the kitchen, and I used some red accents in the house because Louis is a huge football fan, and his hometown team is the Doncaster Rovers. And he actually has played for the Rovers before in like charity matches, obviously. And he did try to buy the Rovers at one point, but the deal fell through. It was a little strange and a little weird. Not entirely sure what happened there. But anyway, huge football fan. He loves the Rovers, and the Rovers colors are red and white. So I included a lot of red accents in this house, and the kitchen and dining room especially are red. I also made the dining room, all of the walls are covered in windows, because I know that in British homes, like, they have this cool thing in some of their houses, and I think they call them conservatories, and basically, like, they have a room in the back where everything's glass, and it's just like a sunroom, but for some reason, I find them nicer than American sunrooms. But yeah, I included that. The other thing that I thought was very important to include in this kitchen was a tea kettle, because Louis is like a huge tea drinker. He's very proud of it. There's a brand of tea that he specifically likes called Yorkshire tea, because he's from Yorkshire, and he's been, like, he's used it as a sponsor a few times for like charity events that he's done, and I believe it's also on the One Direction rider, where he takes it with them when they go on tour. And so I wanted to include a tea kettle, and when I play tested the game and took my screenshots, I had Louis obviously use the tea kettle a lot. But because I used move objects and I was moving things close together, the tea kettle kept disappearing while I was building, and it was the most frustrating thing in the world to me, because I was like, this is like probably more important for Louis to have in his kitchen than an oven, and this is the object that keeps disappearing. So yeah, but I did work it out in the end, and it was in my game when I uploaded this to the gallery, so hopefully it stays in there, but I can't guarantee that, because that is an issue that the crew over at EA still hasn't fixed. I also used the biggest TV in the, like, in buy mode that there is, and that TV is like massive. I would hate having that size TV just because it looks so like ridiculous in proportion to everything else, but I'm sure that a 23-year-old boy would love that size TV. And I did include TVs in a lot of the rooms, just because Louis, as I said, is a fan of his gadgets, and I'm sure that he probably has like TVs and computers everywhere. I also included that video game mat, because I think that's something that he would really like to have. It took me a while to pick out the colors for this room. I do have some custom walls, but I didn't want to include them in these builds because I don't want, like, if people want to download these houses, I don't want them to have to, like, go find all the custom content. Not that I have a lot of it, because I only have, like, one set of walls, but I don't want to have them have to go find it in order for the houses to match. So I was only using the colors that came with the game, and as everybody knows, there's really not that many to choose from. I did include a piano in the corner there because Louis can sort of play the piano. And then I included a floor-to-ceiling liquor cabinet because I feel like that is also something that Louis would love to have in his house. And this room is kind of an example of a room that Louis and Eleanor, in my head, would fight over because, like, it's not as formal as like the main living room in a house like this should be. And it has a lot of random objects in there. But I feel like that's like an argument that Louis won. Um, so yeah, this is the master bedroom, and it's just off that huge living room. And this room I imagined Eleanor decorated, but again, Louis brought some stuff into it that Eleanor is not entirely thrilled about, but she puts up with because she puts up with Louis. And I included a fireplace, and when I was playtesting the house, I had Louis use it because, and you'll see this shortly, I put some bookshelves next to it with move objects, so I wanted to make sure it worked. It works. Louis caught himself on fire. So, I think I remembered to clean it up before I uploaded this house to the gallery. Hopefully I did, but if you find a little bit of a mess in front of the fireplace, yeah, Louis caught on fire. But he's fine, he extinguished it, and it's all good, and took a shower, and now he doesn't have any burns, because, you know, the magic of The Sims. That's how you get rid of a burn in The Sims. So yeah, I took that, like, duffel bag of cash, and I'm pretending it's, like, one of his, like, traveling suitcase type bags, like, carry-on thing, and he's left it in the corner, and Eleanor has yelled at him multiple times to put it away, and he just hasn't, you know. So, yeah, I did go kind of, like, dark in this room, but I think it fits. There's a lot of windows in there, and the carpet is light, and, like, I guess, like, the fireplace has kind of, like, a light face to it, so, yeah, I think it works. I'm, like, moderately pleased with this bedroom. It's not my favorite that I've ever done, but I think it's fine for this house and fine for, like, the idea of what Louis would have. The bathroom, I'm not quite as thrilled with. I made it smaller than I intended to, because I ended up working a walk-in closet into there. It still has everything like your sim could need. A shower, a bath, 2 sinks, a toilet, like it's fine. It's just like the style of it that I'm not entirely thrilled about. I don't know, I feel like I'm not as good at decorating in this game as I was in The Sims 3. And I've thought a bit about why, and I'm not really sure, but I do think it has to do with the fact that you can't, like in Create a Style, one of the things that people talk about a lot is that you could choose any color you wanted, and you had all sorts of color options, which is true, but I think the thing that I miss most from Create a Style is you could create textures out of it, and I think that I used it more to create textures and kind of change the style of certain objects than I realized, because I feel like in The Sims 4 there are very clear-cut styles and I feel very constrained by them, and I think that's all down to Create a Style and the lack of changes in texture, and I understand why they didn't include that in this game. I'm not as upset about it as I am about family play, but it would be nice if they could find some sort of way to work a bit more variety into the game without creating a game that will crash and lag all the time. But yeah, anyway, I built this gym downstairs solely because there's a lack of objects outside that I thought would fit. Louis, he's the type of guy who he doesn't like to go to the gym. He doesn't like to work out in a gym. He likes to play sports, specifically football, but he, working out is kind of like a big part of their lives in One Direction. They have a trainer that travels on tour with them, and Harry and Liam and recently Niall have really embraced it. Zane, I don't think he boxes now, I think, because like everybody else is doing it, but yeah, Zane's like not huge into that stuff. But Louis loves sports. He would rather play them, and in this game we don't have like the soccer net yet, or like they had like a basketball hoop eventually, I think, in Sims 3, and I would have loved to have put a soccer net in his backyard because, as I mentioned, Louis is obsessed with football. But yeah, they didn't have it, so I did build him a gym in there. And I also built like a seating area where like the rest of the guys from One Direction can like chill out if a couple of them are working out in there. And I put like all those trophies that you had seen on the wall because they're like supposed to be like the Brit Awards and different awards that One Direction have won. Obviously they're trophies and that's not what they actually are in the game, but I was pretending. The upstairs I furnished on a separate day than I did the downstairs, and I was trying up here to move the camera around less. I noticed that when I decorate, I tend to like really change the angle a lot, and so when I speed up the videos, it makes me a little bit dizzy sometimes, and I have to be careful about the speed. So I was sort of thinking about that when I was decorating up here. I also kept the decorations kind of to a minimum because I figure that if people do download this house and want to play it, they're probably not going to only keep like 1 or 2 Sims in it, and so they probably will be changing the upstairs. So I didn't want to make too many things for them to delete. And also I imagined that in real life, like, Louis and Eleanor wouldn't really be going up here that much, so I just didn't really want to put too much stuff up here because it just didn't make sense to me. So I did keep it kind of simple. I did also make a nursery. Louis obviously doesn't have kids, but he does have 6 younger siblings, 2 of whom are twins who just turned a year old, and they're boy-girl twins, so I was kind of imagining that they could use this room, like, if they ever slept over, and I kept it pretty gender neutral, because I also imagine, like, if you move a family in here, like, your family's probably going to have kids, and so I wanted to keep it gender neutral so that it could be used for either a boy or a girl. And they also obviously have their own bathroom because every bedroom upstairs has a bathroom. But this room especially, like the bathroom in the nursery, it just made me really sad because I just really, really want more family play in this game and more family objects, and we're very, very limited on that front. This room that I'm decorating now is like that, like, storage room, guest bedroom that I was talking about earlier, where Louis has a bunch of random crap in this room and Eleanor's not happy about it. I, like, love the way this room came out, which, like, I don't know why, but I just think it's, like, funny when I look at it. Like, it kind of does look to me like a room that you would have in your attic, and if you really want, a sim can stay in this room. I mean, there's a bed, there's a dresser, like, there's everything. I end up putting a TV on the floor because I think, like, it's the type of room where you wouldn't bother to get something to put the TV on, or maybe it's an old TV that you're not using anymore, and that's why it's up there. But, like, I just think the room itself, like, it just came out, like, funny. It's like a joke to me, almost. And I used, like, that camping couch from Outdoor Retreat. And so, yeah, I do like the way that room came out. This balcony I didn't really know what to do with because we don't have like that many outdoor objects. So I just put some benches and an easel so you can, you know, paint while you're overlooking the backyard, and added in some flowers. And then for this hallway I also kept it very simple because there's not a lot of room to walk around. It's only 1 tile wide, so I didn't want to like create any traffic jams or anything. So I put up a couple of pictures, and that was it. And then this is the little writing studio for Louis and for Liam. And it's another room that's not decorated to be like this designer room. It's decorated with 23 and 22, I think Liam's 22, 22-year-old boys in mind. So again, I put the microphone in, I put a couple of guitars, and then I mean, those are really the only musical objects I put in here. Other than that, like, I put in like this crazy chair that's like a spy chair, and then I have like that random ATM. Louis used to have a habit, and I don't know if he still has this anymore, but he used to have a habit where he would steal random objects from every country they visited. So I kind of like thought the like ATM thing was funny, and I don't really know when else I would use it in my game, so I thought like it would be a good opportunity to use it in this room. And I gave them a TV where they can, you know, like watch sports or do whatever with it. And I also gave them kind of like a mini kitchen so that they don't have to go all the way inside to get snacks. The only problem is that I didn't give them a sink. So if they want to clean up after themselves, then they do have to go all the way into the house. The bathroom is really not far, and it would be easy for them to do that, but I think it would be more realistic if like they just let the dishes pile up in there. Louis is not a neat person at all, and so I could easily see him leaving dishes in a room for a while. Yeah, I like that map. I thought that map was like a cool thing to use. But yeah, they have like their little like mini kitchenette area, so you know, snacks and drinks. I included like the liquor bottles because I know that they would like to have that. And there's a stereo in there, obviously, for them to like listen to their music. But yeah, it's just like a bunch of really like random objects, and I think it came out like well as a man cave. And then I had this hallway, and I again kept it very simple in the hallway. Didn't do much. I did include like 2 like random statues that I thought were kind of crazy that I think Louis would like. And I did include a Christmas wreath on the outside of the house because Louis's birthday is on Christmas Eve. So I thought it was fun just to kind of like add that little like tribute, I guess you would say, to his birthday. But yeah, here are some of the screenshots. I love the exterior, but you get kind of the layout of the downstairs and the upstairs. It's a little bit zoomed out because it's big and I couldn't fit it. But yeah, here's Louis making tea in his red kitchen. I didn't really want him cooking because I was pretty sure he'd burn something down. And I didn't realize that his real issue would be with the fireplace. But anyway, it was a little bit hard for me to take screenshots of the living room because I did the 2-story foyer. If you look up, you just like see the sky. It doesn't register a ceiling. So yeah, there's Louis working out in his gym and the little seating area for the rest of the boys to just like sit and hang out if they want to talk. Again, kept it really simple in there. And then the master bedroom. I'm not thrilled with those ottomans. I don't think I would use those again in a bedroom, but I don't know, we'll see. A lot of little random objects that are just kind of cool that you put in your house just for kicks if you can afford to do so. And then we have the master bathroom, which I kept very simple, and the walk-in closet. The camera angle turned out weird and it made things look higher than they are. I don't know why. I do like the way I put that bar in between the 2 columns. And then there you can see the rocket. I haven't had Louis finish building it, but I think that's a cool thing to have in your house. And then the pirate ship, obviously, and the hedge maze. But yeah, just some shots. I really liked the lot that I built this on. It was a really pretty lot. It was like in that very expensive area of Willow Creek, and it was the 50 by 50 lot, so it was the biggest sized lot. Here you can see the upstairs, and you can sort of see in that screenshot how like it makes the ceiling disappear, but whatever. We have the nursery with the castle, because I think Louis would love to have like a toy castle for his kids or his siblings, whichever. And then this is the guest bedroom that they actually let people use, with a little bit of a pop of color to add some interest. And the guest bathroom, which I kept very modern and clean. And then we move into the messy guest room, which, like, I could imagine any of the members of One Direction sleeping in. I don't think they would care about it. I just think it would annoy Eleanor. But anyway, thank you for watching. Please remember to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And I will be back soon with another One Direction speed build. Thanks, and have a great day.